What's up, True Crime World? You're here with Luminol on the Wall. I'm Bevy.
And I'm Becky, and today's case is about a husband and wife who meet up at a park for a romantic Valentine's rendezvous. But instead of getting chocolate and flowers, the wife is surprised with her bloody Valentine. This is the case of Richard Schoeck. Listeners' discretion is advised. All right, Bev, let's get started. Today's case revolves around a woman named Stacey Schoeck. She had a stable job as a head administrator for a large medical and surgical practice in DeKalb County, Georgia. She made good money and was able to take care of her 3 children. She was a single mother and always wanted what was best for them. She worked really hard so that she could afford the life that she wanted for them as well. Now, although Stacey had a good handle on her finances and her children, her love life was all over the place. By the age of 36, she had been divorced 4 different times.
Damn, 4 times is a fuck ton.
I know most people hope to never be divorced once,
Let alone 4 times by the age of 36.
I know, hey?
I mean, no judgment, but it's just a lot.
It is a lot. Now, some people by that point might have sworn off love, but Stacey did not. She always had time for romance. She kept her heart and mind open. When she met a man named Richard Schoeck, she knew there was something special about him. The people in Stacey's life also thought that same thing. They thought he was awesome. He had a passion for hot air balloons and trooping.
Okay, I was already like, hot air balloons?
What?
But like, what the fuck is trooping?
Also, I was wondering when I was reading this, how does someone get into hot air ballooning as like
A hobby.
Yeah.
I know. That's a little interesting. I will say one of my like dreams is to go on a hot air balloon.
Oh, I would freaking love that.
In Turkey.
Yes.
Like that would be
That balloon festival.
a bucket list.
I know we've both seen those photos.
I know.
Yeah. And also it sparks my memory from when we were little and watched Alvin and the Chipmunks Race Around the World.
Yes. It's time.
We need
It's
to be in
time
hot
to-
air balloons ourselves.
No. It's time to break out in song.
Oh. Hey, don't you know that we're off to see the world? We're off to find our dreams. Oh, God. That song, like, to this day, I'm like, I will find my dreams.
Yeah, when they find the baby penguin.
Oh, God.
Oh my God. Brought me to tears every time.
Na, 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 na. Na, 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 it's been there for me. My friend and companion.
Oh God.
She's someone I can depend on. She's my mother. That's who I need. Why do we go into chipmunk voices to sing that?
Because they were fucking chipmunks, okay? Like, it's normal.
I
I
can't
think.
not do it.
Oh,
Oh, God. You know what? I need to stop now because I could go into every song from that movie.
we are the girls, we are the girls, we are the girls of rock and roll. We are the boy. Okay. We have to
Ooh,
stop.
Getting lucky. Getting lucky.
We can't stop.
Oh,
We
no.
can't stop. Every time. If
Let us know if
anyone-
you've seen that movie.
If anyone wants to know, Becky and I, we bond over our love for music and singing mediocrely.
And sometimes really poorly.
Yeah, but we bond over it.
It's one of our pastimes, just singing.
It's true. So we dream of being in a hot air balloon. So still wondering how the fuck you get into it, but
He
needless to
was.
say he was. Okay.
Exactly. And to answer your previous question, trooping, what is it?
Yeah.
He served as a den leader in a Cub Scout troop. It just so happened that Stacey's son was also a part of it.
Oh, fancy that.
Yeah, so they ended up bonding that way. As Stacey and Richard got closer, he became an amazing father figure to her children, and eventually the couple got married. Once they did, Richard actually adopted 2 of Stacey's kids as his own. They ended up getting along so well as a united family. Unfortunately, Bev, Stacey had a terrible history of being unfaithful in her previous relationships.
Well, that explains the 4 divorces.
Yes,
Just
it sure
saying.
does. Oh, it's your fault.
So she's going to cheat on poor Richard?
Yes,
Oh,
she does,
God
unfortunately.
Damn it.
In fact, she was so notorious, her family said they assumed she just got bored in her relationships. And her one cousin said that she just seemed like the type of a person that should probably just never get married because she was so unfaithful.
She was bad at being monogamous.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, just be true to yourself. If you can't be monogamous, don't be. Don't hurt people.
Exactly. Especially someone who has adopted your children. Just saying.
Yeah, and what's really sad is that it wasn't actually very long after the couple got married that she was up to her old ways and cheating.
Damn.
I know. She had actually began an affair with a man named Juan Reyes. He was a security guard at a nice hotel. However, after starting their affair, Stacey decided to hire him at her office, and he began working as a surgical assistant. The most shocking part of that is that he had zero medical experience leading up to that point. Stacey was deep in with Juan, in more than one way, I guess.
Oh. Becky. Ooh, you naughty devil, you. But touche.
Thank you. He was a divorced father with a couple children, and he was struggling financially. But despite having this steamy affair, Stacey and her husband Richard had actually made plans for a nice romantic Valentine's Day in 2010. That evening, Richard had been busy making dinner for Stacey. He was also making dinner for her sickly grandparents who relied on them for care. The plan was for them to then meet at a park and exchange Valentine's Day gifts. So after he cooked, Richard made his way to the meeting point, but he got a call from Stacey saying that she was going to be about 30 minutes late because someone who was going to take over her shift was running behind and she couldn't leave until then. So when Richard got to the park, he decided to wait for his wife, because what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
Now, this park was not very well lit. It was a little isolated and not well traveled, especially a little later in the evening. So approximately 30 minutes later, Stacey arrived, but when she did, she found her husband laying on the ground in a pool of blood, dead.
Oh my God.
Yeah, what a surprise.
I mean, listen, you were foreshadowing the shit out of that. I could have guessed you're like this dark, untraveled place. I was like, oh,
what should I be expecting? Not murder.
But damn, okay.
Yeah. So, like I said, she found him in a pool of blood. And so she noticed he had been shot multiple times. So she called 911. She told operators she found her husband and that he was shot. When Detective Franklin first arrived on scene, he first noticed Richard had been shot 2 times in the stomach, once in the chest, and 2 times in the face. He felt that this was a little overkill.
Yeah.
He also noticed that there was $40 in cash sitting in Richard's truck. He was still wearing his watch, his wedding ring, and he still had his wallet. So they can deduce that this was not a robbery.
Right.
Because,
makes total sense.
Yeah, on top of him having all of these prized possessions and cash, they also left a $40,000 truck just sitting in this park.
Yeah, they could have easily taken his keys and just like drove away.
Exactly. So they felt that this just seemed too over the top to be a random incident. The circumstances felt a little suspicious, and it was just a giant red flag for them. In the area where they found Richard's body, they noticed a lot of loose dirt, which typically in an investigation is kind of good news because it shows everything. It shows tire tracks, it shows footprints.
Right. It's like mud.
Exactly.
Or like snow.
And then they also noticed where Richard was laying, there was a bunch of blood-soaked dirt. So within that crime scene, they were able to tell that there was 3 different sets of tire tracks. One being from Richard's truck, the second being from Stacey's car, and a third to an unknown vehicle. They were able to determine that the third set of tire tracks had actually been made before Richard's car got there.
Oh my god.
Because there was some overlap.
Right. So someone's laying in wait for him. At least this is like a theory they could be speculating on.
Exactly.
And also makes it a little suspicious as to why he would have been alone. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm already kind of getting murder for hire vibes.
Well, you are just like the detectives, Bev.
That's what they thought.
Yes, that is exactly what they thought. What is really sucky, though, about this crime scene is that outside of the tire tracks, there's not a lot of evidence for the detectives to work with.
Right. So they have these speculations, but not really anything concrete to go off of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, to try and find a matching tire, there's thousands of cars out there, so that's a daunting task in itself.
Well, no kidding.
But fortunately for them, before they even are able to call Stacey in for an investigation, right at the crime scene, she tells detectives that she's having an affair with her lover, Juan.
Oh my God. So put that with what they're already thinking, and they're like, now we have motive for this.
Exactly. They think jilted lover.
A jilted lover. Oh, wow. Well, why would she just admit that?
She's being honest.
I guess. I mean,
a lot of people hide their affairs from investigators.
So maybe she was like, I'm just going to come right out with it. I'm not capable of murder for hire.
Just an affair.
Just an affair. No
Just
big
a
deal. I'm
steamy
honest
affair.
about it at least.
Exactly.
Someone who's guilty would just, sweep it under the rug.
Lie about it. So obviously investigators know that they need to talk to Stacey in a more in-depth interview to get the full story. So when they bring her in, she starts opening up a bit more and tells the detectives that she had been in this affair for 3 years.
What?
When the investigators kind of dove into what that meant, they realized that Stacey had paid for his truck and his cell phone. She would take him on romantic getaways. She let him live in one of her homes. As well, she had a secret apartment that they would go to and use it for their sexual rendezvous.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and all of which Richard had no idea of.
This poor guy is making fucking food for her sickly parents, adopting her children, and she has a fucking secret life.
Yeah.
She's like the ultimate sugar mama.
I know.
Oh my God.
And as we know, she is financially well off.
Yeah.
So she can just pay for all this and Richard doesn't even notice.
I am bewildered right now. That is some fucking crazy shit.
I know.
Poor Richard, man. I feel for this guy.
Me too. Well, the investigators really start thinking, again, jilted lover.
Yeah.
Because who would be upset if she didn't leave Richard, right? Her lover.
Oh, yes. Makes sense. And obviously she's going to extreme measures to have this relationship with this guy. Plus, it's been going on for 3 years. That's a whole fucking relationship in and of itself.
At that point, it's almost their whole marriage.
It's almost like now Richard is in the way.
Yeah. So, obviously, Bev, they decide to talk to Juan and see what his perspective on this is. The first thing they notice is trying to get a hold of him is that he had actually recently shaved his whole beard off. So, leading up to Richard's murder, he had a nice solid beard.
Right, okay.
And then it was gone. As we know, a lot of criminals will alter their appearance after a crime so that they're less likely to be detected and noticed.
Yeah, by a potential witness or what have you.
Exactly.
Ooh.
So the investigators decide to ask him about it, but he didn't really seem to really care that they asked. He's just like, yeah, I shaved my beard.
Well, on the flip side of all this, men
Shave their beards.
Shave their beards.
Well,
so
exactly.
They could just want to change. So, I mean, in and of itself, it's not
what's the word?
I know.
We're both
I'm like, what is the word? It's not damning or evidence.
Incriminating.
Incriminating. It's for true crime junkies, how the fuck did we not think of that word? Let's just
Should
say
be
that.
one of our top 10s.
Yeah, incriminating.
Incriminating.
But yeah, it's not incriminating in and of itself.
No, it's not. And they actually had Juan take a polygraph test, and it came back inconclusive. Juan told detectives that he was actually trying to reconcile with his unemployed ex-wife, and because Stacey was helping him out so much financially that he only saw her as a means to an end.
Whoa. And Becky, if that is fucking true, That is wild. She's doing all of this for her man, this 3-year relationship, and he's like, yeah, I'm just using her.
I need the money. I need the car,
Holy
the cell
fuck.
phone, the house. Thank you for helping me.
If it's true, I think they're both equally terrible.
Yeah, right? In
different
completely
ways.
different ways.
Exactly.
So then detectives ask him, where were you February 14th? And he tells them that he actually was with his ex-wife. She stayed at home making dinner while he took their 7-year-old to Blockbuster. They wanted to rent a movie. Then they came home, had dinner around 7:30, hung out for a bit, and they were in bed by 10:30. Obviously, detectives need to confirm this, and when they brought his ex-wife in, they asked her about Stacey. Now, she had her suspicions that they were having an affair, and she felt that Stacey was too close for comfort. She had been to their house for Thanksgiving, Christmas. She had bought their children Christmas gifts.
What the fuck?
Yeah, she had even taken their daughter to get her hair and nails done
Becky,
on occasion.
What the fuck is going on? So she had her suspicions, and this woman's just like... So
Hanging out.
basically, Juan is like saying, this is my friend.
Yeah.
This is just like someone I'm close with.
Well, kind of. His ex-wife was under the impression that they were using her financially.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Now, detectives decide to tell her, hey, did you know Juan and Stacey are actually having a romantic affair? Although this kind of killed the ex-wife and like made her sad, she confirmed Juan's alibi.
Oh my gosh.
So detectives are left scratching their head because why would someone who just found that out still cover
For
an ex?
their ex, yeah. So it leads them to think it's probably true, hey?
Well, they had to figure something, like find something out to corroborate that,
Yeah.
right?
Are they going to ask the 7-year-old? That'd be crazy.
No.
Yeah, you don't bring a 7-year-old into that.
Unless
type
you
of shit,
have
right?
to.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have to figure out, is she actually covering for this guy? Like, would she, despite hearing the fact that he's had a romantic affair on her, basically, or like been romantically involved with this woman? Or is this the fucking truth? Like, does Juan have no idea about the murder and was actually using her?
Right? Either way, it's kind of bad, but
Oh my God.
for very different reasons again. Well, at that point, detectives have no direction to go in except for the tire treads.
Right, back to
Because
the
they have no
tire treads.
evidence
Beyond that,
Yeah.
right?
So they move on to the tire treads and they start scouring, trying to find which tire matches this print. They finally do, and they find that the marks match the Goodyear Integrity tire. The downside is that this is actually a very popular tire, so a lot of people have it. So they start checking everyone
In that area.
involved and in the area.
Okay.
They don't really come up with anything. Fortunately, investigators get a lucky tip from an IT tech at the spine clinic where Stacey worked. Part of his job was to clear out all the junk and spam emails on a regular basis from all the employees' emails. He noticed that the weekend of Valentine's, Stacey's junk mail had already been deleted. So that means the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Oh my gosh.
He found this really odd because no one does that. He takes care of it. So he ends up calling detectives because he had heard about Richard. And he says, hey, I can get the backups of these emails. Would this be something you're
Helpful.
interested in? And they said, yes,
Hell yeah,
please.
it is.
So he delivers to them 4,000 emails to go through.
What the 4,000?
Yeah, what a pain in the
from
ass.
that weekend, or is it from like weeks prior?
Yeah, the emails were from the weeks prior to the murder, but all of those 4,000 emails had been deleted the weekend of his murder by Stacey.
Right, so she didn't wait for the IT guy to do it. She did it herself.
Yeah, she took that time out of her weekend to do it.
Which is so sketchy. Like, it just obviously seems like she's trying to hide something.
Exactly, and that's why the IT guy found it weird, and so he called detectives.
Right.
So once he passed them along, they went through them, and they actually found a couple interesting emails, Bev. Two specifically. The first one they noticed was an email from a couple weeks before the murder, and it was a bank transfer of $8,902. It was from a real estate account of the doctor's office to a personal account under the name of Lenitra Ross. Lenitra Ross was a medical assistant at Stacey's office. The second email was a money transfer the Friday before the murder, and it was for $1,100 to Lenitra Ross again. Obviously, this is piquing detectives' interest.
Clearly, I mean, 2 bank transfers from like a weird account to the same person before a fucking murder of your husband? Come on now. Like,
sounds like murder for hire.
Yeah.
We're back on that theory.
Things are just lining up in that way.
Exactly. So, detectives obviously know that they need to pay Lenitra a visit. Now, when they do, she was actually really upfront about the money. She had told detectives that she was actually renting a home from Stacey and that there was some repairs on the house that needed to be taken care of, and it cost about $10,000.
Which, I mean, I guess that actually sounds legit. Like, as you said it, I'm like, oh, could be possible.
Logical, yeah. And Lenitra actually said she had the receipts to prove it.
Wow.
So detectives are like, dang, we thought we were onto something. And it's really frustrating for them because each lead that they think they have something amazing, it can be completely explained. So not long after this, they actually get another tip from Stacey's cousin, Connie Hearn. And it was about her grandparents' car, a Chevy Impala. The car was given to Stacey to sell, and that money was to pay for her grandparents' medical expenses. However, the Impala did go missing from Stacey's driveway, so the family thought she had sold it. And that's what she told them, that she got $14,000 for it. However, the grandparents didn't get a single penny from that. So it was creating a little bit of an uproar in the family. The car eventually did turn up within the investigation. You want to take a guess where it was?
I'm trying to think. I'm like, can I get this? Oh, Becky.
Lenitra Ross's house.
Holy shit.
And
holy shit. I think I had almost like fucking like written her off as like a legit like
rentee.
Yeah. Like, oh, she has the receipts. Oh, well, let's forget about that lead.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Exactly. And
it had the Goodyear
integrity tires.
I'm like, Goodrich, blah. Holy shiznit. So this blows the case wide open.
And so detectives are like, okay, we need to look into this a little bit more. Although she has those receipts, let's look at the cell tower. So they
although she has the receipt, let's look at the cell towers. Where was she?
Yes. So
because wait, I do have to say something.
Mm-hmm.
Although she had those receipts, there is no proof that the money that was transferred is the money that was used for the repairs at the home.
I mean, there's ways you can fudge that.
100%.
Absolutely.
So
they just didn't have any other avenues to look at.
Yeah.
Right?
So Lanisha, where the fuck were you on the night of the murder?
That's what they want to know. So, as I said, they look at the cell towers near the park. They look at something that is called tower dumping. Have you ever heard that term before, Bev?
No, I haven't.
No, I hadn't either. And it is actually every call and text in that area that's allocated to the tower is all recorded. However, it's all just by number and time. No like caller ID, nothing like that.
Okay.
So they decide to look through all the activity of that tower and
around the time of the murder.
Around that time of the murder. And what they do is they start cross-referencing the phone numbers and see if they match any of Stacey's contacts.
Oh my gosh.
After searching through the many numbers, they actually find one that matches. And it matches a contact that's in Stacey's phone under the name Reggie, aka Mr. Results.
Oh my God. Why would she have that contact name? Oh my God. Mr. Results? Holy shit. You mean Mr. Murderer? Oh my God, Becky. That's wild.
It's not good, right?
So I'm like, is Reggie Lanisha? I have to know. Okay,
Reggie's
like,
different, Bev.
I'm getting
You're jumping ahead,
myself.
but
I'm just like, what the fuck? Okay.
This is absurd. So that number had made a call around 8:40 p.m. on February 14th, 2010. And that cell phone had made a call to none other than Lenitra Ross. They need to find out now who is Reggie.
And how does he know Lanisha? Is it Lanisha? I think I said her name wrong. Lenitra. How does he know Lenitra Ross?
Well, Bev, Reggie is a personal trainer and a semi-professional boxer who held classes at Stacey and Lanisha's office.
Did you call her Lanisha? Lanisha?
Ah, Bevy, you fucked me.
I did it. I'm sorry.
It's all you. You're bad.
Lenitra. Okay.
Lenitra.
So at their office, he's a professional or semi-professional boxer and personal trainer at their office.
Yeah, and he teaches classes there. With that cell tower, not only did they see that call from Reggie to Lenitra, but 3 minutes after the phone call at 8:43 p.m., Lenitra texted Stacey. And that text said, "I forgot to tell you, I will be coming in late for work tomorrow. Oh, by the way, happy Valentine's Day." Now, the police deemed this as the signal that Richard was dead.
Yeah, of course.
That's what they're assuming.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
It's like, why else would it, why are you saying happy Valentine's Day to this person
that you
that's
work
just
with?
Kind of, I mean, like, sure, fine. It could be just like innocent, but like, it also just feels like it's a happy day because your husband's dead.
Exactly.
Like, fuck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, my God.
Well, the investigators are like, okay, let's look into Reggie and his financials. What they realize is he was actually paid $10,000 around that time frame. And even though Lenitra said that they were for repairs on the house, they are starting to think that she was the go-between and that she had actually paid Reggie, so there was no direct contact between Stacey and Reggie.
Yes, exactly.
The more investigators find, the more this seems like murder for hire again. Everything is pointing towards it. Because of the tires, the financials, and the cell phone records, this gave the police enough to make the arrests. Now, what investigators wanted to do was they wanted to arrest all three of them at the exact same time, on the exact same day. So 3 months after the bloody murder of Richard Schoeck, all three suspects were arrested. Reggie was arrested, Lenitra Ross was arrested at a traffic stop, and Stacey was arrested at work. However, someone had told Stacey that the cops were there, and she ran. However, she was kind of dumb about it because she actually ran and trapped herself in a room, and it only had key card access. But from the room, there was no place to go, so she 100% trapped herself, and they just kind of had to wait for her to come out.
Oh my gosh.
And so she surrendered, and they still arrested her, and they brought all of them down for questioning.
And now she looks even more guilty than she did before, you know?
Exactly.
It's like guilty is as guilty does.
Exactly. I always think, like, if you're running from the law, like, why would you go lock yourself in a room with nowhere to go?
Like, sheer panic. She's just like, all of her executive functioning is just like out the window.
Get to
She's
a room.
Just in like flight mode. She's like, I just gotta get away.
It's from this room. I will hide from them.
I can't get out.
Yeah.
Shit.
Screw myself. So Lenitra, amongst her questioning, says that she has no idea why she's there and she's completely innocent in this whole debacle. Reggie completely denies everything. But in what I think is kind of surprising, Stacey, when she's questioned, she tells the investigators that she believed that Richard was molesting her child.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yes, and that's why he had to die.
Oh my God.
And the reason, Bev, why she thought her child was being molested was because her child told her that you don't know what he does to me when you're not here. Now, Stacey was really hypersensitive to molestation because she, as a child, was molested as well. This really hurt her deeply, but instead of divorcing him or calling the cops and getting him arrested, she decided to take matters into her own hand and have him killed.
I don't know, Becky. To me, it seems like a bogus story. I have a hard time believing that was her motive for having her husband killed. It seems far more likely that she had her husband killed because she'd been in a relationship with another man for 3 years and was like treating him like a king, and just wanted to get rid of her husband.
Right.
Compared to this. And it's like, if someone is going to admit that they got their husband killed, wouldn't it make sense, at least in like a criminal mind, to explain the motive being like something that they might gain more sympathy for? Like, hey, my kid was being molested. Like, don't you understand why I wouldn't want this man alive? Like, he was doing this unspeakable thing, compared to just being like, yeah, I was in love with another guy.
Yeah, it'd be easier to just have him killed than divorced again.
Yeah, like, you don't want to say that to the cops, right?
Absolutely not. You would never.
You might get more sympathy, or at least she might think she would get more sympathy from the cops and maybe have like a lesser sentence or just a general understanding from them with that explanation. So that's why I think it's just like not true.
All right. Well, we will talk more about that in a little bit, Bev.
Ooh.
So when Stacey was given this information from her kid, she actually confided in Lenitra about this. And Lenitra said that she knew someone who might be able to help. It was Reggie, the trainer from the office, who was also Lenitra's on and off again partner and baby daddy.
Whoa, that is how they're connected.
There it is.
That's
right?
a deeper relationship than I actually thought.
Yeah. Lenitra had actually told Stacey that he does this type of thing to supplement his day-to-day income. Not long after that conversation, the trio met up to discuss what their plan was going to be. They met at Belton Bridge Park, which is where Richard got killed.
Oh, that's just sick.
Exactly. Stacey wanted Richard dead. She wanted it to apparently look like a robbery. She wanted one shot to the head so that he didn't suffer or see it coming, and that she would pay Reggie $10,000 and give him her grandparents' Chevy Impala.
Okay, I have to say some things because, when you first said she actually told Lenitra about what her son said, I was like, maybe it is true. Like, maybe it could be. But then, as you started talking, and you told me that she said to the cops that she didn't want him to suffer, that to me is contradicting. Because if someone molested my son and I was going to go with murder, let's just say, like, wouldn't you want them to suffer actually? Like, wouldn't you want it to not be like quick and painless?
I would think that too. If you're like rage filled, it's not the way I would go about it myself.
Yeah, it just seems contradictory. So it does make me think that she could have also lied to Lenitra.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and her motives were hidden even from Lenitra and maybe were just personal, and she kept them a secret.
Oh, for sure. And to really think, maybe this is still part of her story that she's telling detectives, that yes, I told Lenitra, when really she could have been like, I want my husband dead. Do you know anyone that can help? And she'll be like, yes.
Yeah.
It could have been more basic like that. It's hard to say. But regardless, this is Stacey's story that she tells the cops. She also tells the investigators for Lenitra's involvement, she would let Lenitra live in the house that she was renting from Stacey, be completely free forever. So virtually, she was kind of giving her a house as payment. Yep.
Wow.
Now, this was virtually nothing to Stacey because it said that she was the beneficiary of the life insurance policy that Richard had for $560,000 if he died. Now, what's really sad, in a later interview, Stacey admitted that the molestation accusations she had against Richard were completely false.
Bingo. I knew it.
You called it.
It just sounded not right.
I know. Now, when her child made those statements, they were referring to the fact that he was a little bit more strict and they didn't like it as much when she wasn't around.
That was honestly what I was thinking.
Yeah. And I think what the really concerning part about this all is if she lied to that degree, I think it shows that Stacey just wanted Richard dead. And another thing to think about is even though she didn't want to be with Richard anymore, it sounded like she was a little bit concerned that he could potentially get custody of their children if they separated because he had adopted them.
Whoa, yes, of course.
Right? So I think amongst her interview, that was one of her concerns. And Stacey was not going to let that happen. Regardless of why Stacey killed her husband, it was wrong. And Stacey and Reggie pled guilty to the charge of malice murder. And although Lenitra had less involvement in the physical crime, she was also charged with malice murder. And they were all sentenced to life in prison without parole.
Wow. Holy shit. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do honestly think that they all deserve it.
Yeah.
And aside from Lenitra not having physical involvement, I would go as far to say is like she kind of knew that Reggie was like murdering people.
Yeah, and that he could do it. She set it up. She facilitated it.
Yeah.
Without her, there may have not been a murder.
And it's like, how many other people did he kill to make some extra cash, as she said, on the side?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or was it just something she said, like, yeah, you can count on this guy for some cash?
Well, like, how the fuck would you know that someone was capable of murder if you, like, didn't know that they had already?
I know. That is a scary thing
to think about. Like, I would never just say to someone, yeah, you know, my husband, like, he works out, he's capable. Like, no, I would never say that. Like, that is not who Craig is. So that would be fucked up to say, but like if you knew your husband was like that, then like you'd have no trouble saying it. Or like, sorry, the father of your child.
Yeah.
Like that's just crazy to me that she said that.
I know. Well, Bev, Stacey believed that herself and the other two were smart enough to get away with this crime and that she could use her wealth to control and manipulate the people around her. Unfortunately, her arrogance bit her in the butt. And despite her saying that she did this all for her children, they are the true sufferers in this instance. They lost an amazing role model and father figure, and now their mother was going to jail for life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hate to say it, but it doesn't seem like she was doing anything for her children. I think she was doing everything for her own nasty self.
Yes, I think so. Because clearly this was not for her children.
No, it was to get a man that was fucking using her, apparently. Like, that's really the shocking thing in this whole case, is that she was having this 3-year relationship with this guy who was just using her.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. Well, Bev, this is the case of Stacey Schoeck, a.k.a. the police call her the Black Widow.
Oh my God. What a nickname, because Black Widows technically kill their mates after having sex with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Ooh, look at that
police.
One.
Oh my God.
I know, hey?
Wow.
Well, Bev, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for sharing.